Good morning and welcome to Review Moving Forward. So how far have you gone with our tips? What's your experiences been using them? Please send us a message in the chat and let us know. What have you been doing when you hit the wall, when you're up against it? Do you even know or recognize what the wall is? Hi, I'm Miss Chrissy D with the P&K Files Your Emergency Kit to Life, and this is Darlene Turner with Victim to Victory, and together we're the perspective.
Hi everyone. So today is review and moving forward. So we've been talking about beliefs and helping you recognize patterns and change those beliefs, and then diving into how we sabotage ourselves and really getting clear and going in the heart and listening to our intuition and creating that change in our life.
Yeah. So, and when we get to that place where we find ourselves that we've stopped or we're sabotaging ourselves, we're not moving forward, that's what I call the wall. So we want to remember when we get to that wall, it's like, remember we talked about our intuition. We're listening to our intuition or we're listening to our ego. It's either the angel or the devil. So you have to remember that the ego does not want us to succeed. They don't want us to get to the other side. So in my case, I've shared with people, for me, it's my thing is my worthiness. So when I get to the wall, I want to empower other women to believe in themselves, to feel worthy for themselves and everything that's important to them. That's my passion. And when I get to the wall and I'm going through that stuff, I have to realize that maybe I'm not feeling a certain way about myself. I need to get to the other side of the wall or I'm not going to get to do what I do. So the very first thing is what we talk about all the time. I got to get out of the fight or flight and I have to get grounded and I have to do my breath work. Really important, get grounded, do my breath work, and I think about, okay, my limiting beliefs, the things that are sabotaging me are right here on this side of the wall. On the other side of the wall is my freedom from that.
That's great. The freedom thing, a lot of times people think, oh, as soon as I get to this job or this new relation, I'm going to be free. And really, it doesn't so much work that way. It's not, freedom isn't something that's going to be outside of us. It's something that's inside of us. And when we can free ourselves of our beliefs and our limitations and the way we think of our life or how we approach life is where that freedom is going to come in. So, and it's also embraced within words. So if we could just bring in the word, say, problem versus challenge. So if we have problem, then it feels heavy. It feels like, oh, I got to overcome this problem or figure this problem out. Whereas when we bring in the thought of a challenge, it's like, oh, it's a challenge, right? I gather up my strength and my grit and know that on the other side of a challenge is always, it's an opportunity, right? And it's a way of growth that happens within our experience. So I have a wonderful example of this. I was in my business training for a year and a half, and let me tell you, I definitely was not where I'm at now. I had to come through this wall time after time after time. I had to go back and embrace my experiences and my traumas and all of that unworthy of value and fear and all of those things and create my victory story first. And then I could start learning my speaking, training, and all of that. So it was just one limitation after another of looking at my beliefs and how I'm showing up in life to get to where I'm at now. And now I'm actually helping others overcome their victim feeling into their victory stories as well.
Yeah.
It takes time. It
Yeah.
took me many steps to get here.
And I think we've all heard that saying, it's peeling the onion. There's always more layers that have to keep coming off as we're getting there. So what comes up for me there, and it's something that I do sometimes, we have to remember that it's one step at a time. It's about the journey, not the destination. If we're looking at the destination, like I tend to do sometimes, and go, oh, I need to get there, and I need to get there now, it becomes way too overwhelming because you've got all these steps that you have to take. And now you're getting into that, I got to get there, I got to fix it. It's the fight or flight all over again. So one step at a time. You don't need to know what's at the end of that. Just take one step, realize that you're doing it, listen to your self-talk.
Yeah, and bringing yourself into this present moment, because the mind, if you're jumping ahead too far, then the mind's trying to figure it all out, and all the mind actually has to go by is all the old programs, the old filing system. So it puts us in a state of uncertainty. It puts us into a state of the unknown, and a billion problems come up of I don't know how to get there, and then we tend to quit, right? So we really want to stay now and in the present, because that's where our guidance is. That's when we're in our heart, and that's when we know our next step to take, our next right action.
Oh, I really like that. That makes a lot of sense and puts it into perspective. Because if we are rushing and we're trying to get to that end, yeah, all we know is what we already know. And that's not working.
Yeah.
That's that definition of insanity, doing the same thing and expecting a different result. So I really like that. So we have to listen to our self-talk. We have to make sure we know which voice that we're listening to. We need to be kind to ourselves. Don't beat ourselves up. It's okay, one step at a time. We're learning something new now.
Yeah. And being okay where you're at really takes that charge out of, it takes that feeling like lacking or failure or any of those feelings out of it. Because when we decide right where I'm at is perfect and the next right step is shown, then that feels good. And then when we bring in that support of other people, that like-minded people that are going in the same direction, it really brings in a lot more strength to how we're stepping forward in life.
Yes. Yeah. Really important to bring in like-minded people. Otherwise,
really
you're not going.
Oh, I was just going to say, we're really changing our identity. I could share a little experience or just a way of thinking of it, and I'm not picking on smokers. If you like, I could speak for my own. I identified myself as a smoker. I went out and I hung out with the people that smoked, and I was just part of that group, right? And when I quit smoking, it was like, wow, I don't belong with everybody out there having a cigarette anymore. I found a different group to hang out with to fill that time. So just knowing that it's actually an old identity that we're leaving behind and stepping into a new identity of who we are.
Yeah, that's a good example. I find myself as I change sometimes and I'm doing new things. Sometimes some of the people that I'm spending time with no longer feels right. It's almost like fighting, and it's stopping me from moving forward. So, and I guess that puts us right back to, again, it's our comfort zone. That's the file we have. It's listening to that ego voice. And remember, that ego voice wants you to stay there. It does not want you to succeed, because if you succeed, the ego dies.
It does. And
that's scary for that.
Yeah, that's what I was going to say too. It's scary, and it's comfortable. It's how we've known ourselves all the way along, whether that is that unworthiness, or maybe it's that self-love, or whatever that is for you. It is actually, dying, we're stepping into that self-love and letting go of that criticism of self or whatever it is. So it is huge. It is huge for us.
Yeah. Yeah.
So let's talk about this wall in a little bit different way. Chrissy likes to use the word wall. I kind of use the word edge. But I want to talk about wall in a little bit different way, as in sometimes we come up against, it feels like a brick wall. And that can be a place to just stop and reassess and revisit your whys, revisit why you're doing this, to really get clear and in your heart, And then it may be a detour. Maybe you need to go left and then around the wall, or maybe it's not the exact time to take that step forward. So sometimes we need to just give ourselves some time to reevaluate and sit and wait, and then a door will appear and it'll be easy. Or sometimes it's reaching out for that support, like a ladder to climb up and go over this wall. So, really sitting with yourself in that present moment and deciding for yourself, is it the time to move through that, or is it maybe a different path that I'm meant to take at this point in time, and following what that your heart says in that guidance.
Yeah, really good point. And make sure when you're reaching out for support, again, you're reaching out to people that are going to support you in where you want to go, not people that are going to help keep your ego alive and keep you where they're comfortable with you. People are comfortable with where you're at. So, and be very careful, because sometimes like I said, the ego wants to keep you there as well, because if you don't listen to the ego, that voice dies. So make sure when you're sitting in yourself that you're getting clear on what you want, not your ego stopping you.
Yeah, and that's a great point, because those people that you're looking for are going to echo that ego, right? They're going to echo, oh, you can't do this. This isn't the right time. So we talked about it in our shows before, how that ego is a lot louder of a voice, but that intuition, that deeper voice, is a lot softer. And so really it requires going in, but knowing that there's a force actually inside of you that keeps pushing you forward. And when you gather up that strength within and feeling that force, it's going to help you either bust through that wall and get to the other side, or find that solution to move forward in whatever direction that you're guided to take the next step.
Awesome. I really like that. Yeah. And it reminds me again about make sure we're taking care of ourselves, because listening to it and being ready to go through it, over it. If we're not quite there and we're working towards it, again, be kind to yourself. Don't sit there and beat yourself up. You're doing the work one step at a time. Don't beat yourself up. There's enough people out there already doing that for you. You don't need to do it yourself.
And it's a process, and honoring that process. Like we said, it's not the destination, it's the journey, and it happens step by step, and giving yourself time to process each step as you're going, because sometimes you jump too far ahead and all of a sudden you're like, how did I get here? And then you might have to take a couple steps back to process something. So it is very important to be kind to yourself, honor yourself, and really listen to your body. How does it feel in your body? Is it feeling light? Is it feeling like joyful, or, like, oh, I'm excited? Or is it really feeling like, oh, this is heavy, or, a lot of these other emotions? You'll be able to tell with the emotions that are coming up. If it's fear, then yeah, a lot of times it's just facing that fear head on and doing those steps to move through it. Or is it really feeling like, yeah, you know what? It just doesn't feel right to me.
Yeah. So listen to our bodies. And when we get to that place, don't just stay there. Go to our tips. And today our whole show was tips. And yeah, listen to your body, be kind to yourself, go back, do the things that we need to do. If you want to change, get grounded, breathe, do the work. And as always, we want to keep this short and sweet so that everybody has time to watch this and share it. Please send us a note in the chat and come and join us, and tell your friends to come and join us every Sunday at 10 o'clock for the new perspective on trauma, abuse, chronic pain, and the steps to a healthy and thriving life. We will see you next week.